At 3:17 the morning, a 7-year-old girl named Maya whispered something that would change everything. The old grandfather clock in the corner ticked its ancient rhythm, shadows dancing in the flickering candlelight, and the scent of jasmine incense drifted through the air like forgotten prayers. Her mother, Sarah, had been sitting by Maya's bedside for 3 sleepless nights, watching her daughter speak to invisible visitors in her dreams. But tonight was different. Tonight, Maya opened her eyes and said, "Mommy, Karma is trying to teach us something. Welcome to Whispers of Dharma, where stories of karma, compassion, and rebirth are softly told to heal the soul." How could a child who had never heard of Buddhism know about the ancient wheel of Dharma? And why did her dreams seem to carry the wisdom of lifetimes she had never lived? Sarah Chen lived in a quiet coastal town in Northern California, where morning mist rolled in from the Pacific like ghostly fingers reaching toward the redwood trees. Her small cottage overlooked a garden where wind chimes sang gentle melodies, and stone Buddhas sat peacefully among the lavender and sage. She had been a skeptical woman of science, a pediatric psychologist who believed in logic, research, and measurable results. But 3 months ago, when Maya began having dreams about past lives and speaking of forgiveness for people she'd never met, Sarah's world of certainties began to crumble like ancient parchment. The dreams always began the same way. Maya would lie still in her small bed, surrounded by stuffed animals and fairy tale books, when suddenly her breathing would change, becoming deeper, more rhythmic, as if she were meditating. Then she would speak in a voice not quite her own, older, wiser, filled with compassion that seemed impossible for someone so young. The neighbors had started to whisper. Some called it a gift, others a curse. It had started on a Tuesday evening in late autumn, when the first winter rains drummed softly against their windows. Maya had been coloring a picture of butterflies when she suddenly stopped, her small hand frozen above the purple crayon. "Mommy," she had said, her 7-year-old voice carrying a strange gravity. "There's a sad lady who lives in my dreams. She's waiting for someone to forgive her." Sarah had laughed it off at first, attributing it to an overactive imagination fueled by too many bedtime stories. But as the dreams continued, Maya began sharing details that no child should know. Stories of Buddhist temples in Tibet, teachings about rebirth and compassion, and most unsettling of all, personal details about people Sarah had never mentioned. The sad lady used to hurt people with her words. Maya continued that first night, her innocent eyes reflecting wisdom far beyond her years. But in her next life, she became a teacher who helped children. That's how karma works, Mommy. It gives us chances to grow. Sarah had studied child psychology for 15 years, but she had never encountered anything like this. Maya spoke of rebirth and karma as naturally as other children talked about their favorite toys. And strangest of all, these dreams seemed to be healing something deep within their small family. Everything changed on the night Maya dreamed of Thomas. Sarah had been carrying a secret burden for 12 years, the weight of words she could never take back, spoken to her younger brother in anger just days before he died in a car accident. She had never told anyone about their final fight, not even her husband before he passed away. But that night, Maya sat up in bed and said, "Uncle Thomas wants you to know he forgives you, Mommy. He says the angry words weren't real, only the love was real." Sarah's heart stopped. Maya had never known Thomas. He had died 3 years before she was born, and Sarah had been too ashamed to speak of him. She had buried his memory along with her guilt, convinced that forgiveness was impossible for someone who was no longer alive to grant it. "How do you know about Thomas?" Sarah whispered, her hands trembling. Maya smiled with the serene expression of a Buddhist monk. "He's in my dreams, Mommy. He's teaching me about compassion. He says that's why I came back, to help you remember that. Forgiveness heals everyone, even the ones who are gone." That night, Sarah began her own journey into the mysterious world. Her daughter seemed to navigate so effortlessly. She started researching children's past life memories, Buddhist concepts of reincarnation, and the possibility that wisdom could transcend the boundaries of a single lifetime. What she discovered challenged everything she thought she knew about consciousness, healing, and the nature of love itself. Dr. Ian Stevenson's research at the University of Virginia had documented thousands of cases of children who remembered previous lives with startling accuracy. But Maya's dreams went deeper than mere memories. They seemed to carry active lessons about karma, compassion, and the healing power of forgiveness. Each night brought new wisdom, as if she were attending some cosmic classroom where Buddhist teachings were transmitted through the language of dreams. "The monks in my dream temple say that some souls choose to come back quickly," Maya explained one morning over breakfast, casually spreading jam on her toast. "They don't wait for a full rebirth cycle. They come back to fix what was broken, to spread more compassion." Sarah realized she was no longer dealing with childhood imagination. Something far more profound was unfolding. The breakthrough came on a rainy Thursday evening when Maya's dreams revealed a truth that would transform their understanding of karma forever. She had been sleeping peacefully when suddenly she began speaking in what sounded like Tibetan, her young voice chanting prayers she had never learned. When she awakened, Maya looked directly at her mother and said, "Mommy, forgiveness isn't just about saying sorry. It's about understanding that everyone is learning. Even the people who hurt us are just trying to figure out how to love." "But what about the people who do terrible things?" Sarah asked, thinking of all the patients she had worked with. Children who had been abandoned, abused, traumatized by the very people who should have protected them. Maya's answer came with the kind of profound simplicity that only truth possesses. They're the ones who need compassion the most, because they forgot they were love. When we forgive them, we help them remember. That night, something shifted in Sarah's heart. The burden of guilt she had carried for 12 years began to dissolve, replaced by an understanding that Thomas had never needed her apology because love had never stopped flowing between them. But the deepest teaching was yet to come. 2 weeks later, Maya's dreams took her to a place that would reveal the ultimate purpose of her extraordinary gift. She dreamed of a classroom filled with children who looked just like her patients at the hospital, kids facing terminal illnesses, carrying pain too heavy for their small shoulders. In the dream, Maya stood before them as a teacher, her 7-year-old form somehow radiating ancient wisdom. "Pain is not punishment," she told them. "Pain is curriculum. It teaches us compassion, so deep that it can affect, heal, the whole world. When Maya shared this dream, Sarah understood why her daughter had been chosen for this extraordinary experience. Maya's gift wasn't just about their families. Healing. It was about preparing her to serve as a bridge between worlds, a messenger of compassion. Buddhist wisdom, disguised as a child's innocence. "I think I came back quickly this time," Maya said, her small hand finding her mother's. "I think there was too much love to share, and I didn't want to wait for a whole new rebirth cycle." In the quiet moments that followed, as autumn rain continued to whisper against their windows, Sarah experienced what she could only describe as a spiritual awakening. The scientific mind that had always demanded proof was finally quiet, replaced by a knowing that transcended logic. She realized that Maya's dreams were not anomalies to be explained, but gifts to be received. Buddhist wisdom had found its way into their lives through the most unexpected messenger, a child whose soul seemed to remember what most adults had forgotten. "We're all connected," Maya murmured one evening, curled up in Sarah's lap as they watched the sunset paint the sky in shades of gold and pink. "That's what karma really means. What I do to help others helps me. What others do to hurt me teaches them. We're all learning together." Sarah understood then that this experience had been orchestrated by forces beyond her comprehension, a demonstration of the main compassion, so profound that it bridged the gap between life and death, between science and spirit, between doubt and faith. The healing that had begun in their family was rippling outward, touching everyone who heard Maya's story, creating circles of compassion that expanded like gentle waves across still water. But the greatest revelation was still to come. On Maya's 8th birthday, she woke with tears of joy streaming down her face and announced, "Mummy, I remember now. I remember why I chose you. In my last life, I was very old, very wise, but I forgot how to trust love. I was a teacher who had learned all about Buddhist wisdom in books, but I never learned it in my heart. So I asked to come back as your daughter because I knew you would teach me the most important lesson of all, that love is stronger than fear, even when we can't understand everything." Sarah realized that while she thought she had been caring for Maya, Maya had been the one teaching her. The child's dreams hadn't been about past lives at all. They had been about the future, showing Sarah how to live with an open heart, how to embrace mystery, and how to trust in the infinite compassion of the universe. Today, Maya continues to dream, and Sarah continues to learn. Their story has become a beacon for others seeking to understand the deeper mysteries of karma and rebirth. And in sharing their experience, they've discovered the ultimate truth, that when we become vessels for compassion, we become teachers for the world. If you believe that, karma always guides us. Please subscribe and leave a reflection so we can awaken together. Remember, every soul you meet is both teacher and student. Every moment of compassion creates ripples across lifetimes, and sometimes the greatest Buddhist wisdom comes whispered through the dreams of a child who remembers what we forgot. This is Whispers of Dharma. Every story is a seed of wisdom. See you again in the next whisper.